So these cosmos, they'll get really tall and be a nice focal point, you know, from when I'm looking outside my patio windows, where right in through that door is where my kitchen table is, and then into my kitchen sink, where I can look out and see my garden and stuff. So it'll be a nice focal point once they bloom and get bigger. And then over here I got more Russian sage and coreopsis in the back there, and on the ground is also Tithonia, which I think they call it the Mexican sunflower. It's a beautiful orange, looks like a daisy type flower, but it's bright orange. Bees love it, and it gets super tall, like 3 to 4 feet tall. And I had some there last year, so I will post a picture when I download this video so you all can see. But those of you that are joining, just to recap, my name is Carrie from wildflowerartbycarrie.com. I am in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, growing zone 7B, and my backyard faces the beautiful Sandia mountain range. And I'll boost up my phone here so you can see. I'm panning south now, down towards Albuquerque. And we can see all the way down there, and then coming back through. It's nice when we have the balloon fiesta. Or 4th of July, we can see all the fireworks around, all the balloons. And then panning back north, we can see up to the mountains up there, and you know, near Santa Fe, and the snow caps in the winter. So it's really pretty scenic view that we get to enjoy. Very lucky. So we'll come over here. I got some lantana blooming. That nice red-orange color for this time of year. And I like every color of the rainbow in my garden. I'm not picky. I like blues and pinks and purples and the reds and the yellows, and I think it just really brings more joy to the garden, more happiness to see all the colors. I got little Johnny jump ups there in that blue pot, and they're kind of struggling with this heat. They don't like the heat. So this little blue pot here is jasmine. You can see the little jasmine flower blooming in the back there. And then I have catmints, and then my roses there on the trellis have gone by for now. And then I got lots of hollyhocks coming in. So it's a pretty show right now in June. Usually it's I call it the hollyhock show and the purple coneflower show. That's usually what's happening in June, along with the echinacea, the coreopsis. Those you know, bloom till fall as well. So, and then here is zinnias I have. They're coming along. Chicken wires on there to keep those curved-billed thrasher birds out, and look for bugs and stuff. So we keep that on there until they get a little bigger. And actually, I need to layer some bark mulch in there and put those river rocks that you see in that pot. That's where they came out of. And that'll help keep the thrashers out too. I was just waiting for the zinnias to get a little bit bigger before I put the rocks and stuff back in. And if you watch my video, garden tours from the past couple weeks, I showed you that I did that over here with these vincas. I do the same thing. I put the rocks with a layer of bark mulch. Same thing. So the bark mulch is going to hold in the moisture, and then the rocks keep the birds out, because the birds want to dig under that mulch and see if they can find the little roly-poly bugs and stuff. So basically I got to do the same thing with that zinnia pot and get that done. Let's see, what else we got going on? We got these beautiful burgundy hollyhocks, and they're about halfway done blooming. So the hollyhocks, when they first start blooming, they start at the bottom. Thank you for the likes. They start at the bottom and then they work their way up. And so these are now halfway up the stalk. And then when they get done, they'll bloom all the way to the top. So, and you can see when they go by, they dry out there and stuff. So, but they're pretty to look at. And so far, knock on wood, we haven't had really strong winds to knock them over. So last year I had pictures of them. We had some winds that came in storms and it knocked them sideways and they looked kind of funny. But I left them because the pollinators were still on them. But yeah, so far so good. Everything's standing upright, so I like that. And thank you again for all the likes and the hearts. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But it's a beautiful evening here tonight. It was another hot day, but in New Mexico, we don't have the humidity. So once that sun comes down, it starts to cool right off and is a little more comfortable. I lived in Florida for a couple years, and boy, it's just humid. When summertime is there, when it's humid, it's humid. It's just doesn't stop until, winter time. So I like it here. I can come out in the garden and be comfortable and not sweating bullets. I see someone said clematis. I tried growing clematis. I grow morning glories now because I tried clematis and they just cannot handle our intense dryness and heat. And it lasted only a couple years, and then it just it would not grow right. It was turning yellow and it wasn't happy. And then when it would bloom, I'd only get a few blooms on it. So I kind of gave up. They're kind of wimpy out here in New Mexico. They can't handle the heat and our dry, arid temperatures. So everything I have in my garden has been trial and error, and I've found what works. And so this is it. This little particular L-shaped concrete planter, I have rosemary there. In that pot, rosemary loves the heat. Bougainvillea, they love the heat and the bright sun. And this is a full sun garden until about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the house shades the rest of it. And then I have a big chrysanthemum there. And then of course I have the coreopsis, that loves it here, and some statice. And then I have another chrysanthemum. And then the echinacea. So far, those are, the plants that do really well. I have amaryllis and some sedum. And then the vincas. The vincas do really well. I love these, as I was planting those up a couple weeks ago, talking about the glossy leaves. They never crisp, they never burn, they never get aphids, budworms. They deadhead themselves, and they will bloom until frost or first freeze. And they do awesome. I love them. And they can handle the heat and the full sun. And they come in different colors. So each year I switch out my colors and grow different ones, like peach and white and like hot pink and stuff. This year I'm doing scarlet. I went to Lowe's, and that's all they had when I went. So I usually pick them up at Lowe's, but I do like to grow my own if I can, if I have time. This year I didn't have time because the greenhouse, my husband and I finished building that in October of last year, and then 2 weeks later we got our first snow. So we just kind of crammed everything in there. Didn't have time to build tables or anything. Previously, when I started seeds, I would do water jugs for winter sowing. And that worked really well, but I really didn't have a chance to do that this year. So next year, I want to grow my own vincas. But was able to grow a couple, and they're in my East Garden pot over there with the white lattice, which are over there. There's a little pot, and I have some vincas that I did grow. But in my towers here, I didn't have enough. So, and then this is my sunflower tower, and I have it covered with this netting because this year the quail decided to get in there, and they're eating all my morning glories. So the morning glories are starting to come back. They're starting to put on some little leaves, and so they will grow up this tower and look beautiful and amazing. And I got a little sunflower there coming along. So I have some pictures and videos of that last year, and it was just glorious. But yeah, everything's coming along, and we'll come over here. Hopefully I don't lose you guys. But there's a trumpet vine too. So on that lattice over there, this is my south garden on the other side of my Vago garden, and there's a trumpet vine, and so that's all blooming over there, and it's looking really pretty. But it's coming along, and I just figured I'd jump on tonight and do a quick live and show you all what's going on in the new blooms and the gladiolas that are blooming, and the new hollyhocks and purple coneflowers and stuff like that. So if you would like to visit my website, wildflowerartbycarrie.com, all the artwork that is in there, the framed artwork, shadow boxes, pendants, are all made with flowers from these gardens. And I harvest, dry, press them, and create my artwork. And then I also use my photography now. I'm making t-shirts and mugs and puzzles, canvas prints. So if you'd like a peaceful garden scene to put on your wall or on your coffee mugs and t-shirts, I have a little garden statement that I created actually last summer while watering the garden. It's "Gardens grow love, happiness, and smiles." And so I'm putting that little inspirational statement on all my garden merchandise. I have tote bags as well. So again, it's wildflowerartbycarrie.com, and then if you're on TikTok, the link is in the bio. There's my link tree, and then also will take you to my website, and then the other social media platforms if you want to follow me on. I'm on YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and I think that's it, and TikTok. So I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday evening. I'll go ahead and sign off and get to watering.